normal way. Okay, we're recording now. Excellent. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jacqui Owen. I'm the Relationship Manager at the College of Law, and it's lovely to be with you all this evening. And I am also joined by my lovely colleague, Lisa Sylvester, who some of you will know. She's a lecturer at USQ, an award-winning lecturer at USQ, I might add. And she's also, we're very, very lucky to have her as a lecturer in our practical legal training program at the College of Law. So thanks, Lisa. Lisa's going to has joined us this evening to chat a little bit more about what the assessment's like, how it sort of runs, the flexibility of the College of Law, what the resources are, what the tasks and actions activities are all about, and just show you a few things sort of behind the scenes as well. So thank you, Lisa, for being here this evening. So thanks to everyone who popped some information about themselves in the chat. Feel free to keep doing that if you'd like to tell us where you are, who you are, when you're joining us. I love that we've got people who've already graduated, we've got people who are just starting the legal part of their degrees, and everyone in between. And I really do encourage students to come to this presentation throughout the course of their degree, because we only retain so much information each time we hear things, and you'll pick up different things along the way, and also things might change between now and when you're actually doing it. So it is great to come and hear it and just maybe help you plan out your degree or inspire you to get some work experience. So welcome to everyone, no matter where you are in your degree. So let's get started. So the College of Law is the largest provider of practical legal training in Australia. And we, about 60% of all, hold on, I'm just also talking and working slides, and I shouldn't do both, should I? 60% of all Australian law graduates come through the College of Law, which means that if you do move into state down the track, we've just had one of our lovely graduates has just moved to Melbourne, actually. So she did her College of Law Queensland course and then worked for about 2 years here post-admission, and she's just moved down to Melbourne just before the lockdown, so it wasn't very good timing, but she's really looking forward to life down there. And her registration has transferred, so there's an application process obviously, but she's in the process of changing over to being admitted in Victoria. You don't have to do PLT in each state, so that's a great thing. So let's talk about all the ins and outs of PLT. So you probably do know by now, but I always like to explain this just in case, because I have actually come across students that didn't know this fact. So I do like to put it there up front. It's not enough to just have a law degree. It's essential to have a law degree. It's one of the requirements to become a lawyer, but just having a law degree is not enough to call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor or any type of legal practitioner. You also need to have gone through the practical legal training process and then proved yourself a fit and proper person and been through the admissions applications process with the legal practitioners, LPOB, Legal Practitioners Admissions Board. I've got to say the acronyms before I can fill the blanks in, and they will process all your paperwork, and then you will get your permission to attend, or your invitation to attend, an admission ceremony. They're held in the Supreme Court of Queensland. Someone will move your admission. So someone who is already admitted will stand up and declare to the court that you've met all the criteria and that you should be admitted as a practitioner. And then as a group, all the people being admitted will stand up and take a couple of oaths. And then you walk out as we clap, and then you sign the roll of solicitors, and you'll then apply to the admissions board to get a practicing certificate, and that's when you are actually a lawyer. So even I have seen some people put on their LinkedIn or tell people that they're a graduate lawyer and they're actually not admitted yet. And there's some great information put out by the Ethics Centre of the Queensland Law Society saying that term is actually against the Legal Practitioners Act, because can be misleading. It's saying that you're a lawyer when you're actually not. So just be careful of that. So obviously, law degree is the very first to do action on your to-do list. So you'll tick that off, and then you'll come to the College of Law for practical legal training, which is putting the practical skills on top of, so we're layering your skills to get you to be a confident and competent entry-level lawyer. So we're layering on top of your law degree. So you would have learned about the law, and you'll learn all the sort of theory of the law through your law degree at USQ, but then we are adding, like baking a cake, we're adding more ingredients, we're adding more layers, which is your practical skills on top of your theoretical knowledge and your degree. So it's about practicing actually being a lawyer in a safe, secure environment with people like Lisa, who are themselves lawyers, very experienced lawyers, who can give you guidance and feedback and help you improve those practical skills in that safe environment where you're not in front of a judge, you're not in front of your boss. You can make the mistakes and get better. And so that when you are out there for real, you are competent and confident, and you'll still be nervous. And I've had very experienced lawyers tell me that the day they're not nervous going to court is the day that they hang up their shingle, because then that would mean that they're not sort of on their game. Nerves are good, but you also can be nervous and confident, which sounds strange. You know what you're doing, you know what to say, you even know where to stand half the time. So that's what we're teaching you. So through our advocacy workshops, through our mediation workshops, through all of the work that we will do throughout that first week, and then throughout the whole course as well. So a question we often get asked is, when can I start PLT? People are super excited to get to PLT because it's the next step, and it really is that one step closer to being admitted. Now, most people have completed their law degree, but you can come in your final semester once you've completed all of your Priestley 11 and have up to no more than 2 electives remaining. Of your law electives. Now, at USQ, quite often I've found that there is a Priestley 11 in that final semester. I think it's an ethics subject. And so I've in my experience, a lot of USQ students haven't been able to come in early because of how that where that last subject, Priestley 11 subject, falls. But if you are able to rearrange things, and you're thinking that you might get started in that last semester, if you're early enough in your degree, maybe you can arrange it. But I also do think, tick it off one thing at a time, full energy and attention on your university degree, finish, and then full energy and attention on your practical legal training as well. You don't want to sort of overwhelm yourself and be pulled in too many different places at the same time. Excellent. Okay, awesome. So that's when you can start. Let's break down practical legal training into the 3 components. I like to think of practical legal training as having a checklist of 1, coursework, 2, work experience, and 3, continuing professional education, or CPE. So let's just imagine that you started PLT with us today, and this is the College of Law system, and your name's up the top of, so in your head, superimpose your name up the top, and you've got 3 check boxes underneath that you need to work through the requirements to tick off. And then once you have ticked them all off, at the course end date, that's when we issue you with your completion certificate, and actually a qualification. That's the graduate diploma of legal practice. That's what you need to take to the admissions board. So let's talk about those 3 things in detail. We'll break down 1, 2, and 3, and that's why we've got Lisa here to give us a little bit of a hand when talking about the coursework component. I don't teach it, Lisa does. So have all your questions ready for her. She would love to answer them. Okay, so what subjects are you doing? You're doing 5 compulsory subjects and 2 elective subjects. And of course, the elective subjects you'll choose according to what you've liked at uni, where you're working, where you are hopefully, hoping to start your career, the areas of interest that, have really maybe stood out to you so far in your legal studies. But of course, even if you don't do a particular subject, you can practice in all areas of law, of course. And you might like to come back to the College of Law to at later on down in your career to do maybe one of our masters. We've got an applied masters program. It's a very, very practical program. So let's just say that you're not working in family law now, you don't choose that elective, but then for whatever reason, life takes you somewhere else, and you are working for a firm that does family law, and you find that you actually really do enjoy that, and that's where you might go. You might come back to us to do your masters, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, what recognition you can get into your masters from doing PLT with us. But that's basically it. These might sound like subjects you've done at university, but of course they're the next postgraduate level up, building on that base of undergraduate study that you've done. And it's also the practical side of that subject. So let's just say property practice, you will be have mock matters given to you as your assessment, and you will be acting as the solicitor for someone who's buying a property or selling a property, and you will do up all the documents and submit them into your lecturer, who is kind of your boss in this matter, and then you'll get feedback on those documents. So it's very much the practical side of those subjects. So those are what you have to choose from. So the modes that you can do PLT in, it's much the same as uni. It's full-time or part-time. So full-time's 15 weeks, part-time's 30 weeks. And week 1 is our intensive workshop week. And so everyone actually does week 1 full-time. So full-timers will do that week full-time. It's a face-to-face workshop situation, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and you'll be hanging out with one of our fabulous, or several of our fabulous lecturers like Lisa, working through sort of a whole week of workshops. And it's quite fun, and a lot of people get to the end of the week and go, wow, that was so different to uni. I feel like it was more like being a lawyer rather than being a student. So it's very different. It's aiming to mimic the work and the situation that you will be in as an entry level lawyer. So you're actually practicing in that safe environment. So full-timers will then move off the rest of the courses online, and you'll work through all the subjects in a particular order. We give you a timetable at the end, so you'll know right from the beginning when all the subjects start and finish, when things are due, what needs to be happening in any given week. And it's a bit more like work, where you don't just swan around for 28 days of the month and then do all your work on the 29th and 30th and 31st. You have to actually be, you have stuff due every week in very regular intervals, and it's building on each other towards the end of the subject and the final exam. So it's a bit more like a work situation. Part-timers will still come to us for that week full-time, for week 1. And then they will move off onto the rest of the course. Same situation, but it's just done at half the pace. So it can be fitted in and around work or family obligations. So if you are, like Dimitri, working, I would recommend doing that part-time course, just so that you're not burning yourself out right at the last minute. We like to start you off with healthy habits, with enough time. Yes, yeah, Emily, the full-time is pretty intense. So if you are working, we do recommend that part-time course. How many, because it can be 2 or 3 things due in a week for full-time, can't it, Lisa?
Yes. Yeah, I mainly say to students, give a minimum of 20 hours to your activities and readings and preparation for the full-time. So if you can't dedicate 20 hours, you're going to struggle and fall behind the timetable. So that's the main thing.
Absolutely. And it's really only a difference of 3 months. So be kind to yourself. And also it is a significant investment, PLT. So you want to get the most out of it, and you owe that to yourself, and you owe it to your future clients as well. So you owe it to them to really be polishing up your skills the best that you can and learning as much as you can through PLT. So don't treat it as a tick box exercise. Oh, I just got to get through this to get to admission. It's there for a reason, and it's there to develop you into the best lawyer that you can be. So have a think about where, I mean, you might not know, Emily, you're a couple of years away yet, but when you get closer, like some of the people that are on this call that are coming to us in the next few months, really do have a good think about you know, whether or not you do full-time or part-time. I guess it is similar to uni in some respects, but it's different to uni in that you have 3 things due every week, and you can't sort of put it off to the last minute and then just, you know, submit everything at the end. People do try. And even if you sort of do talk to your lecturer and say, oh, look, so I got busy at work, I can't do that, submit that this week, can I have an extension? You've still got then this week's 3 items and then next week's 3 items. So you don't want to fall too far behind. So we have lots of people that excuse me, we do have people that work full-time and do it full-time, and they get through. They know this themselves. But we also have a lot of people that do change their mind. Can you select a part-time option? Can you work additional and finish? No. So it's like uni. Your subjects have a, so let's just say you're doing torts or whatever subject you're doing now. It has a start date and a finish date, and we are governed by all the same boards and governing bodies, CRICOS, you know, you've got CRICOS code, and we're governed by all these things. So legally, each subject has a start date and a finish date. You can work ahead if you like. So say some people go, oh, I've actually got my friend's wedding that, you know, that when we're all going up to Cairns for a week, what do I do? Well, your lecturer will say, well, just work ahead and get that assessment for that week due in, like submit it before you go, but your assessment dates are timetabled on certain days, so you can't sit those any earlier, and you can't move on to the next subject any earlier either. So yes, you can work ahead, but your final assessment is pretty much on fixed days. Excellent, cool. All right, so let's keep moving and grooving. Sorry, I'm looking over there because your questions are on the other screen, so I'm not looking at my cache or anything like that. I've locked them out tonight. Okay, so how's it all working? So at the moment, so when I say that week 1 is face-to-face and that the rest of the course is online, at the moment, of course, because of COVID, we aren't having students come into the College of Law, which we really miss, and we can't wait to have you back. I'm telling you that it's just not the same energy. But that week 1 before COVID used to be in at the College of Law, or we did have what we call our regional intakes, which were Toowoomba, Rockhampton, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, I have to start Cairns and Townsville. Usually I start at Cairns and work my way down, and that's the way the list is in my head. So those 6 locations. So you would still go in Toowoomba, for example, and we actually used to book space at USQ, and we would send Lisa there for the week, and you would have those workshops, and then the rest of the work would be online. At the moment, we're doing what we call, well, 100% online one, but week 1 is online, but different online. So week 1 is a Zoom classroom. So a bit like this, except everyone must have their cameras on. We need to be able to see you. You still do have to interact. Lisa will send you off into breakout rooms, bring you in. There's still group work. There's still that interaction. We have to sign off that everyone is attending the whole time in each workshop. So it's not like uni where you can't like, oh, sorry, I'm half an hour late. If you're half an hour late to a workshop, you'd have to do the whole workshop again. You're required to be there for the whole time, and we're signing off that you were there. So you can't sort of say, oh yeah, hi, I'm here, and then turn your camera off and then go and watch, you know, last night's Love Island and then come back for the end. You actually have to be there interacting. So that's online, but it's live online. You're required to be in attendance, and then you move off into doing the work in and around your life. So the rest of it's very flexible, but we need your focus and attention and commitment to being in front of us for that week 1. Now, the exciting news is, after 2 years of not being able to teach that week face-to-face in our regional areas as well, we are attempting to come back to Cairns, Townsville, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba and Rockhampton November, December. Now, we do, of course, need minimum numbers because it's the interactive workshops do not work very well with Lisa and 2 of her friends there. We're trying for 10 people minimum. So if you are wanting to do that face-to-face in any of those regional locations, I would recommend enrolling ASAP. The Brisbane courses are still online for the foreseeable future because the numbers are much bigger and we don't have the social distancing space. And you can't really do group activities socially distanced. So we still, for the time being, through till probably early next year, they'll still be online. So you guys in Toowoomba or any of those other regional areas do have a choice. But if you're wanting to do it, round up another few of your friends and get registering. I don't think there's anyone registered for that Toowoomba yet, so it may or may not go ahead, but we're doing everything that we can. So yes, at the moment, and if it doesn't, when I say if it doesn't go ahead, it still will go ahead, but it'll go ahead on an online format, and then all the groups from all of those regional areas will be online together, which is how we've done it since COVID. So we're just giving people options, and actually we do have one Brisbane face-to-face one that we're attempting to schedule for the first week of December. So we're not sure if people are ready to come back to a face-to-face learning environment. We've had some people tell us that they are. So we're trying to accommodate everyone's different learning styles and what they want. So you can vote with your feet.
Can I just point out too, a lot of people have said that the cost has been terrific for them to go online only, because then they don't have to get the babysitters and travel and accommodation and things like that, that they can still stay at home even though they're sitting in their study or whatever and the kids are in the corner, that they still find that that's quite helpful. So sometimes, the online is actually quite cost effective for them too.
Yes, absolutely. And there's both available at the moment for you guys. So Brisbane people have really only got the online one unless they want to go to one of the regions. But if you are in Toowoomba, you actually have 2 choices. So it's totally up to you. And yes, we've had a lot of people say that, because some people that might go to USQ, but we've had students that are USQ grads, but they're in Toogoolawah or somewhere that would involve them, or even further, like 3 hours west of Toowoomba, so it would involve them traveling, staying in Toowoomba, even though it's closer than Brisbane. It's still leaving home for the week. So they've really enjoyed the option of the online. And I think we've got pretty good at it in the last year and a half, and people still do enjoy the course, but there are some people that do know that they learn better in that face-to-face environment, or they're craving it. They're craving being back with people. So everyone's different. So yeah, so we're aiming to make you confident and competent early career lawyers right from the get-go, and changing your mindset from thinking like a student to thinking like a legal professional. So that's what practical legal training is all about. I think I missed a slide. Here's some of our more than 30 wonderful Queensland lecturers across the state, and some of them are full-time lecturers that have been lawyers and still maintain a practicing certificate, or they are still legal practitioners themselves. So solicitors, they're barristers, they're tribunal members, they're pretty much mediators. So we get the specialists in to teach you. So we've got a really amazing team with combined many years of experience. So don't have to tell you what a Zoom class looks like, but this is our very first one when we used to dress up for Zoom. But make sure that you do treat your from to the waist anyway, dress professionally and dress the same as if you were what you would do for in the classroom. So that's our very first group that was in Western Australia, actually, many moons ago. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the coursework. So here is task 1, initiating and responding to claims. So we might have switch over to my tag team with Lisa and get you to explain maybe how things are different to uni, what the tasks, activities, quiz and assessment is all about, and what resources maybe that are available to students as well.
Okay, so do you want me to share the platform at all, Jacqui?
Sure. What I might do is I'll stop sharing here and then you'll be able to share. So I think it's very helpful.
Okay, the first thing I might show, because it's been asked a bit, is a sample timetable. So
that's great. Have you got, oh, yep, you got one there.
What to think about. This is the course that I've been taking at the moment with my unit. So the students started in back in July, and they're at the stage now where they're doing their electives and they're just about finished, so it's 15 weeks, but in doing so, you start off with that intensive week. In the intensive week, you're doing interviewing. So you've got a fake client and you're interviewing them. It's the other student, but they're telling you about their story, and then you've got to work out what's your strategy with them and what the instructions are to continue on. So you go through the skills about how to interview, what to do with your file notes and diaries and things like that, of writing down the stuff that you're getting from the client, and then your actions of what you're going to take after that meeting. Then you go through ethical decision making, which has got a nice little model of how to think about what to do when you're stuck. And the good thing with that is it goes through a bit of a plan, and then you can work out whether you go down one path or another path. So that's the main thing on the first day. Amongst that, you actually have some interactive activities on the portal as well that you can do. So you get marked on completion of those. And then when you go into the next day, you're looking at risk management, what you have to do with what you've been given from your client, and work through all the different strategies of what's the law regarding their issues, what are the issues, how am I going to develop their case further, who do I need to get instructions from. So it's all that problem solving, risk management. You then go through a little bit of writing and drafting, which is very small amount, because when you go through the whole rest of PLT, you have loads and loads of writing and drafting to do. We also are big advocates of wellbeing in practice. So at College of Law, we have a particular session that we run with you, and we also get you to do an interactive activity. But it's something that we also want to promote and make sure that people feel well when they're out there practicing, give you some guidance, like even mindfulness exercises and stuff like that to help you with that. The intense 2 days is advocacy, where people go, oh God, advocacy, but it's actually really fun. Well, I might think it's fun, the students may not. But what you're given is a trial, and you then have to go through what the evidence is and how you're going to ask questions of the witnesses in the witness box. But you also do a mention. So a mention is a first off thing going into court, and you're asked to do a mention. You're only given a brief snippet, and you've got to ask and stand up and say, hey, I'm here and this is what I'm after. And then you do an interlocutory application. So it's a pretty intense 2 days, but the good thing is that you're getting a lot of skill about how to present yourself in court and what you need to do with the documents and what you have to say. Then the final day in that week is negotiation and dispute resolution. So with that one, you're going through a plan about how you're going to negotiate to get the outcome for your client that you're given. And then you do a bit of a brainstorm with the strategy, and then you're thrown in to do these negotiations. What we do is we give you one which has got really small amount of data given to you, and we just test you out and say, here you go. And then the second time round, we've taught you more strategy and how to plan it, and then how to produce what you need to do for your client. And that could also be drafting again, so heads of agreement and stuff like that. So as you can sense, the first week is pretty intense. I would recommend whenever you've got that week scheduled in, don't do anything else. Get everyone else to do the cooking and whatever else that you want to have delegated to them, because I think you deserve the time and you'll need the energy to be able to get through that week okay. With the other tasks, as you can sense, we've got ethics is the first unit, which is a core unit. And then we've got 3 tasks in the full-time one due within that first week, and then 2 more. And then you sit a online test, which is just a multiple choice quiz. You can do it multiple times, so it doesn't matter if you get it wrong the first time, you just keep doing it as much as you feel like doing it. But it has to at least get a 50% pass to say that you've completed it. And then with the oral assessment, which is our assessment in College of Law, you then are scheduled in if you've completed all these activities to a competency standard, and then you're ready to roll with the oral assessment. The oral assessment is like what we're doing now. We're in a Zoom webinar type meeting, and then the oral assessor asks you questions about what you've learned through that unit, and also may get you to do something. So when you get into the civil one, when you do that, you're actually doing a hearing. So you're doing an interlocutory hearing, and then they test you and work out what you're going to do with that. With the property one, you're actually doing performance of settlement, which now we're doing it through the PEXA system or e-conveyancing. We just asked you questions about how did you get ready for settlement? What did you view in the portal, etc. So it is fairly intense, but I think if you're not sure if you can do it in the 15 weeks, what we do is we ask you to think about it in that first week of your intense on campus or online to work out if it's doable for you, and then you can transfer. So you don't have to stay in it after that first week. You can transfer to a part-time if you want to. Now, the other thing to show you is the actual portal. So with the portal, what you'll find is that you get the lawyer's skills unit as one of the units, but you also have, when you go into the dashboard, a whole heap of other units. And once you've completed the unit against that timetable, so you can see I've got the admin, law, banking, civil, etc. all showing, and then you can just have one little tile on there if you like to say, well, I'm working on this one at the moment, the others can just hide away, or you can have them all up if you feel like it. In the ones, if we go into ethics as one, then what they do is they've got the assignments that are all due. They give you the due dates, and then when you go into any of them, say I'm not quite sure with activity 2, what on earth I'm going to do with that, then it tells you that you're going to be working in a group and you need to submit the answers to the questions, and it's an advice. So in looking at the advice, they give you an email, sometimes a video, and then you go through and work out what you're going to do with the questions. Now, the fabulous thing I really love about College of Law's platform is that under each of them, they give you resources. So you can go into the activity resources, and it gives you a whole heap of links to various things, the fabulous practice papers, which are written by the College of Law, and takes you through where to go. So it's like, what do I do now? I have no idea what I'm doing. And here's a paper to tell you exactly what you need to do. They even have sample court documents or checklists and things like that. So it makes it a lot easier than just being thrown in and say, look at the legislation, off you go. So it gives you a lot more guidance. The videos, so sometimes you'll find there'll be videos, and the really good thing with the civil one is it takes you through an actual interlocutory application. So it shows you how to present, how to deal with it. So it's a very good interactive type video to review. And then when you are submitting, you then go in with your document to be submitted, and the person that's assigned to you as, we call ourselves mentors rather than lecturers, we look at what you've submitted, work out where there could potentially be gaps in your knowledge, and then give you some further guidance. So some of that guidance, depending on who you have, could be another video where they video themselves talking about stuff that you may need to do, or some of the full-time lecturers are doing a lot of audio feedback now, which is great. And I do a lot of markups. That tends to be what students have liked from me in the past, where it's a whole heap of Post-it notes all down your document, basically. And then it's an annotated type feedback. So you can print out or, store what you submitted along with the feedback that you've given. So that way, when you get to the assessment, the oral assessment, you know what you did well, what your gaps were, and then you can concentrate on that a bit further. And then whoever's your appointed mentor can be contacted as well. Say, hey, I need a one-on-one with you. Can you talk me through what on earth do I do with this interlocutory application documents? I have no idea how to draft them. So that will help you with that. The other thing that you do have access, apart from the different units, is also this business skills course. So that's something that I know Jacqui is going to probably talk about with the CPE. It is a new one that they've redesigned, rather than it just being business skills to also be legal tech. It's going to be a fabulous, unique thing that you'll get from College of Law that isn't offered anywhere else. So others may have the business skills, but they don't have the legal tech. And then what you do is you go through each of the modules, you answer various quiz questions. Then when you finished it all, you go, hey, finished, and then you request your certificate, and then you've got a certificate of completion as well. So is there any questions while I'm on the platform? Otherwise, I will drop back to Jacqui.
Do you know what? It's the first time I've actually seen it.
Because
I don't have access. I'm not a student or a lecturer, so I don't have access to the system. I only see it when you guys show me. So that's actually pretty cool.
Fabulous. I think the thing that I like the most is that it's so current and up to date about everything. So when people are thinking, well, how am I going to apply technology to the practice of law? Well, here it is. They're taking you through what to do, quiz you on it, and then once you've completed it, you got 10 out of 10, and away you go. With the basics, like how do I use Office 365? A lot of those, you probably already used as students or other things, so you could probably skip through that really quick. Cyber risk and security is a really big thing in the practice of law. So you've got to be really careful with that, and it just gives you a lot of guidance. One thing that is popping up a lot now is AI.
Yep.
So artificial intelligence, using data in the cloud space, which is in practice management, I find very helpful as well when people are connecting with their clients. Communication and developing commercial mindset, because when you go into the practice of law, you do need to consider what you're billing and what the clients are expecting from you, to whether or not you're going to have that strategy and engagement with them or not. And you want to try and get repeat business from people, not necessarily repeat offenders, but repeat business in other ways. And networking, financial information, etc.
That's
so
cool.
I'll drop
That's
off this.
Really good. Yeah, no, excellent, because we'll mention that, but obviously we've gone through that, so it'll make a bit more sense when we get to that. Excellent. All right, I'm going back to sharing my screen and popping those slides back up. So I think that's up there now. Okay, so we've gone through this. This is what Lisa was talking about with the Post-it notes. So a little blue thing there, and then there'll be a little note on the side that you then incorporate back into your work, because sometimes something might not be up to standard and you'll have to redo it and resubmit it. But you take the feedback. They don't just go, it's not good enough, do it again. They go, this is exactly what you need to do, where you need to do it. So then you can put the feedback back into your work, resubmit, and usually it's all good at that stage. That's just showing you one of the videos, but we've seen one live. We've seen a timetable. So basically, each activity that you do will be a mock reflection of a matter. So you'll receive your instructions from your manager, which is, you've seen that. Those are the questions and the activities on your learning portal. You'll have all those resources, exactly what you need to help you with the task. So you won't have to run down to the law library and find all the information. It'll all be there on tap for you. And this is the only bit we can't help you with. You'll do the task, and then can you not see my screen? Awesome. Okay, excellent. Sorry, I thought there was a technical hitch and when I'm driving, it's very, very, very likely. So I'm glad we're there. You'll do the task, and then you'll receive feedback from your lecturer. You'll put it back into your work if needed. And then you'll get to the end, you'll do a quiz, and then that'll tell you you're ready for your oral assessment. And then, as Lisa said, you'll just jump on and have a chat to someone, really. Because in the practice of law, your boss doesn't say, hey, I need an update on that matter. Friday week, can you submit 1,000 words summarizing what the status is? Your boss will say, hey, what's going on with that? Come in here and tell me all about it. So you'll be verbally summarizing what's going on. You'll also have to be succinctly and clearly in plain English, explaining things to complex legal matters to clients as well. And they're not going to have a law degree, most likely. And you'll need to be able to communicate that. So it's practicing the work situation. A lot of people do get a bit nervous for their first one, but usually if once they get through the first one, they get a little bit more confident in that. And the other thing is, if you've done all the activities and you've done all the tasks, you will be fine, and you can take your materials along with you. Okay, so as some of our students say, we've got wonderful, knowledgeable, experienced, approachable, friendly lecturers like Lisa, who will work with you, partner with you to get you through the course the best that they can. But of course, you need to also do your part, do the work, but also be communicating if things are happening. So one of my big pieces of advice that I always like to give is that if something is happening with your family, with work, with all the other obligations that you might have, and you are struggling to get something in on time, then just send an email, pick up the phone and communicate that with the College of Law, either via your lecturer or via student services or via our reception in the Queensland office, and we will be able to make a plan to help you through that.
Can I mention too, the big thing between submission of a university stuff compared to College of Law is there's no penalty for being late.
Yeah.
Which I think is the really big, like, oh, thank God, because if you're getting penalized or you get 0 or stuff like that with universities, it's really degrading. So with College of Law, it just puts you back with your timetable. So even though you may be doing activities, something comes up, you just can't get it in on time. 2 days later, it doesn't make any difference with your grade. So that's
absolutely
a thing that I would.
We actually had that happen today in the office. We had, I think it was the first subject, we had a student who hadn't got her stuff in by the deadline, and so her lecturers marked her not yet complete. And so she's all upset because, it's going to, and anyway, but we were trying to explain to her, no, it doesn't make any difference. It's just that the system needs a flag at that time, because just remember, you're like, how many students have you got at the moment, Lisa? Like 60 or something?
No, at the moment in full time, I think they max it out at about 30, but I've got 26 current.
Yeah, so you've just got the one group at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes our full-time lecturers might have a group of 30, and then they might have a second group or a third, they'll have several groups at the same time. So they need to be able to pretty much constantly be running a little report to make sure that, all right, in that group of 30, where is everyone up to? So they put a flag in to say, okay, Mary and Bobby aren't yet complete, and then they might need to go and see Mary and Bobby and just go, hey, do you need help? What's going on? Da, 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 da. So they're just making sure by flagging that they're keeping on top of where that person is. So that's how they do it with, and they can't do that off the top of their head. You might have sent them an email, but they need to sort of keep it in the system. And also, let's just say Lisa wins lotto and goes to live a champagne lifestyle and sadly leaves us at the College of Law. We would need to hand that group on to someone else, and they would need to see where everyone was up to. So we're trying to explain to this poor girl, no, it's not university. You're not going to lose 10%. It's just where at the moment you're incomplete. She's got till next Tuesday to hand it in. So next Tuesday it needs to come in, and then we flag it. We flag it complete. So it's just keeping tabs on everywhere else. But as you say, Lisa, the great thing is it's not like university. We're not going to you're not going to lose marks, because we want to get you through. Okay, so let's move on. That's coursework. We'll move on to work experience. So this is the second component of your PLT. At the moment, we have 3 options for you. Now, if you are coming to us very soon, you'll still have those 3 options. If you're coming to us in a couple of years, like Emily was saying, she was a couple of years away, then there will only be 2 options, because thank goodness, let us please pray and hope and wish that COVID is long in the rearview mirror, and we don't need the 0 days in practice component, because that's a COVID measure. So let's just go through them. I'll go through 75 and then 15 and then 0 days. And it's your choice. College was very flexible. It's all about you choosing. It's like a choose your own adventure. I don't know if you guys read those when you were little, but I love to choose your own adventure story. But you're actually able to choose how you put it together. So and what suits you and how you can work around your life with all the different components. So 75 days of work experience is what we call a standard option, and you will do 75 days of work experience and a reflective journal, and your boss signs off on that, you sign off on that, you submit it, and then you're done. Now, the great news is that, like Dimitri was saying before, she's working at the moment and starting her PLT in the next few months. Now, 60 of your 75 days in a legal role, if they meet the criteria and the rules, can be claimed retrospectively. So if they fall within the 2 years of starting PLT. So let's just say you're starting this November in 2021, and you think back to before we had ever heard the word coronavirus or COVID-19. I was just about to take off to my Northern Lights holiday in Norway, and remembering the time when we could fly and be in crowds and not wear a mask. So that was a long time ago, it feels like. But if you can find 60 days in that time period, you can get them signed off towards those 75. The final 15 days has to be done within PLT, within the 15 weeks or 30 weeks of PLT, or in the 2 years after PLT. But obviously that's going to delay your completion certificate and your admission. So that's what you do. So basically it's any job that you get out of uni. So sometimes people do get PLT placements, and they might do a little bit of unpaid work experience, and sometimes it's their graduate role that they get, the job that you're applying for as you leave uni. So so 75 days of work experience and a work experience reflective journal, and the reflective journal is actually just on the final 15. It's not on the whole 75 days. Or you might choose the short format. And if you choose the short format, you'll do 15 days of work experience plus an extra subject called our clinical experience module. And that's what wipes off the 60 days. Now, the 15 days has to be done during or after practical legal training. There's no retrospective claiming there. So you can see that both people have to do the 15 days in that time period. You'll then complete the 15 days, have them signed off, and then complete the clinical experience module. There is an extra cost for that subject. We're very much a user pay provider. So if you're doing the standard work experience, standard format, you'll just pay for your fees. If you're doing the clinical experience module, you pay your fees, but then you also pay the clinical experience module fee. Now, when COVID came along, all the we were watching them drop off, like ping, 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 all the jobs dropping off our job board, and students were saying that the placements that they had lined up had all fallen through or got put on the back burner. It was all very, very stressful for all of our students. So we went to the admitting boards in all the states and said, hey, can we do this option? And they said yes for the time being. This is going through till June next year. So if you are coming to us in the next 6 months or so, you'll potentially have the option to do this if you sort of fit within the time frame. So it's 0 days work experience, but we match you with a mentor and you do a subject called the in practice component, which basically we give you a boss sort of thing, a mentor, and they take you through a body of work one-on-one that to meet the criteria. There is an extra cost for that as well. So again, you'll pay your course fee and the in practice component fee. But if you're coming to us in a couple of years, that won't be available to you, because please let COVID be over by then. So those are the 3 options that you've got. We've already talked about that for the standard. So pretty much within yes, it can, Emily. Great question. Sorry, I meant to mention that. You can put all your fees on fee help, which is it's the same thing as HEX, but HEX is for undergraduate course fees, and there's a fresh new unused pot of money waiting for you called fee help, which is exactly the same thing. It just has a different name because it's actually a different pot of money from the government, but yes, it's the same. So great question, thanks. I usually do mention that. So in the 2 years before you're planning to start PLT, so you'll probably all roughly know about what year or when you're starting. But if you're doing summer clerkship work, paralegal work, volunteering, any of these things that are on the screen at the moment, and you could have an ongoing role, but you could be doing 20 days here and 20 days there. Get it signed off and send it into the College of Law, even if it's a year and a half to your come. You do not have to enroll. You can just send it in. They create a profile and it just sits there. So let's just say that Emily gets 20 days work experience over the Christmas break. So what she would do would be to download the forms, get them all signed off, send them in, and they just sit there under Emily's name for another year and a half. And then if she does any more, there might be a few more, and they can add up to 60. So I say to do that as you go, because in a year and a half, what if you can't find the person who is supervising you? What if the supervisor can't really remember you? They might remember you, but they might not remember the work. And so as lawyers, they're taught to risk assess, and they might not be happy to sign that off. So go in, talk to them and say, hey, I want to count this to my PLT. Would you be happy to sign it off? That might change what work they give you as well. And they'll want to make sure meets the rules, and they'll might want to chat to you along the way. So you submit a application for work experience, which is just you saying, hey, college, this is a work experience I'm doing. And this is who's supervising me. And then at the end of it, you sign up, you get another form, which is, it's all on our website, declaration form, which is you signing off to say, these are the days I did. I believe I meet the rules. You don't have to write what the work is. You don't have to write like 6-minute increments, or I did 21% this. We're looking to see that you've had exposure to clients, you've used a file management system, you've done legal research, and you've drafted documents. So as you can see, those 4 things fit all these jobs, but in all different ways, and you'll do different percentages in all those different roles, but you'll cover all that stuff. So you're signing to say, yes, I've done that stuff, and your supervisor signing to say, yes, this person's done this stuff. I believe they meet the rules. I would recommend, as a legal practitioner myself, that they be admitted as a legal practitioner. So pretty much that's what's happening. So as you go along, just if you're doing little bits and pieces, I mean, if you're on an ongoing role that you'll probably be in while you're doing PLT, you can leave it till then if you want. But if you might not be, just if you're just there for a short time, get it done as you go. It's also like when you do your tax, if you keep really good records, and some years I do and some years I don't, and the years I do, I could just grab it and submit it all to my accountant. But if you don't, it's like, okay, so last August, didn't I give some money to a charity? Okay, now I've got to go and find that receipt. So it's a bit the same. Keep on top of it and sort of do it as you go along. And then when you get there, you'll be like, oh, cool, I don't need to run back and get that signed off. Also with COVID, remote supervision is the thing, isn't it? So we just have an extra form. If you're working from home, you can just let us know how you were supervised and how your work was, how your boss went through your work and that sort of stuff. So it's really just how you worked through that role. So that's work experience. Do feel free to put some questions, or we will have a question time at the end if anyone wants to ask specific questions. But this is the third bit. So we've talked about coursework, we've talked about work experience, and we do give you a heap more information about the work experience criteria when you start. And then the third part is our CPE. So as an admitted practitioner, you will have to do a component of CPE every year. The board, the admissions board will, and the Queensland Law Society will require you to tell them what you've done every year, and then you have to apply for a new practicing certificate every single year, which isn't cheap, but it's the requirement of being a lawyer. So let's just say you go and see a doctor. They went to uni 20 years ago and they haven't updated any of their medical knowledge. Sorry, my front doorbell's just rung and my dogs are going nuts, if anyone can hear that. Yes, Luca. Luca's just saying practical legal training is super cool. That's what he's saying. So you want that doctor to have updated their medical knowledge every year since they were at university. It's much like a lawyer. You need to, laws change, systems change, requirements change, the courts change, stuff changes. So your CPD is updating that knowledge and skills, as you go through your career, and it might be the difference between keeping your client out of jail or keeping their house or keeping their kids. So it's really important that you're always updating that CPD. So yes, we practice it, and we've already been through that. So thanks, Lisa. We do all those modules, and it was actually kind of cool to see because this slide's about as far as I usually go. So you just work through those modules. There's 10 of them. You get a certificate at the end called the Certificate of Legal Tech and Business Skills. It's unique to the College of Law, and it is in line with our Centre for Legal Innovation. So if anyone is interested in legal tech, please do touch base with me and I'll connect you with the Centre for Legal Innovation. It's all about, they have heaps of free webinars and stuff that you can do and get involved with, or just learn about, or even just follow on LinkedIn and Facebook to sort of keep in touch with what's going on. But it's really cool. You get this extra little certificate, and pretty much just do one a week for 10 weeks and you'll be done. That's all you need to do. It's pretty much the often forgotten third cousin of PLT, and you need to not, sometimes we get to the end and we say, okay, so you've done your work experience, you've done your coursework, so have you done your form for CPE? And people go, oh yeah, that's right, we talked about it in that week one, and so I better get onto that. But seriously, just do one or two a weekend and you'll be fine. So here are our fees. The course fee for everyone, I believe they're not going up in 2022. They didn't go up this year because of COVID, and I believe our board are maintaining them, but it hasn't been officially announced. That is just a vicious rumor I heard. I believe it to be true. Then if you're doing the short format, you'll add the clinical experience module. If you're adding the in practice component, you'll add that. But so it's totally up to you. Choose your own adventure. So before we get to questions, because I'm watching the time for all of you, why study at the College of Law? Other than that, we're just fabulous, really. We're a lot of fun. You can hang out with groovy people like Lisa. We're a long established part of the legal profession. So what happened is nearly 20 years ago, law firms said, hey, why do we keep having to send our grads to Sydney to be trained? Why isn't there somewhere in Queensland? And we went, you know what? Well, some people said, that's a really good question. Let's do it. And the College of Law Queensland was born. So the College of Law is nearly 50 years old itself, but Queensland's nearly 20 years. And we are for the profession, by the request of the profession, and all we do is train lawyers. So you start your legal journey at the College of Law with PLT. So we don't do undergraduate, but we do PLT. You will continue with us. You can do all your CPE with us. When you are ready to hang out your own shingle and have your own firm or become a partner, you need to do something called a practice management course. You'll do that with the College of Law, and you might even come back and do your master's program with us. And if you've done PLT with us, an 8-subject master's program, we give you 2 credits, it becomes 6, and you can do it quite quickly in a year and a half. And that is often the first step on the pathway to specialist accreditation. We also do the mediation courses. So pretty much everything from PLT to retirement is what the College of Law does. You become part of the College of Law family. We don't let you go. We do teach in Brisbane, Cairns, the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Rockhampton, Townsville, and Toowoomba, if we have enough students. If not, it's online. We're of course accredited by the Queensland Legal Practitioners Admissions Board, and it's also very Queensland based. So, I mean, you can do the Queensland course and be admitted in any state or in 2 states if you're practicing on the border, which sometimes people are. But you do get the Queensland practice papers. You're taught by Queensland practitioners, and it's all based on Queensland law. You then can apply for recognition for admission in other states. So it's state specific, but relevant to the whole of Australia. And obviously, if you then move into state, you're sitting next to admitted lawyers. Say you move to Melbourne, like my friend just has, one of our grads. She's sitting next to people who are College of Law trained. They went through College of Law Victoria, so they did the same course. You're on an even footing there. Bunches and bunches of alumni all over the state, all over the country. You're learning by doing. It's simulating the world of work in a legal practice, and you're learning by doing. Very flexible. Some of us have got kids, some of us have got noisy puppies, some of us work full-time, some of us work part-time. We've all got a different story to tell, and the College of Law will fit in and around all of those stories. So apart from that first week where we do need your undivided attention, but there's actually even an option for that if anyone is thinking, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do that week. There's an evening course that chops it up, so that is an option too. And we have more than 30 intakes a year in Queensland. So sometimes people are like, okay, all right, I'm finishing my exam on Friday and I'm starting PLT on Monday. Look, have a little break, take a breather. We'll have another course next month. So you're not waiting a whole 6 months, half a year, a whole semester. If you miss, so we had a course started last week. It's last week. Yes, it's Tuesday already, isn't it? Last week, and no, it's Wednesday. It started this week. Anyway, I can't even keep. We've got a course this week. That's right. It's a part-time course. If you had missed that one, you would only have to wait till November to do the next one. There's actually two or three opportunities to do courses, part-time courses in November, and then the next one is early January, then there's February, then there's March. So what I'm saying is there's heaps, and in all different locations. So it's very convenient. Once you're a student, you have access to our 2 fabulous, amazing, beautiful careers consultants. Their names are Susan and Ruth. Ruth just joined the team. They do lots of seminars and webinars, which I know the USQ Law Student Society advertises to you guys, because I give them all the stuff to do so. And go along to those as you go through uni, but then you've got access to them one-on-one once you're a student with us. We are the largest provider of practical legal training in the whole of Australia. About 60%-ish, like it's in and around that ballpark, of law students in Australia come to the College of Law. We've already talked about our credits into the master's program, and we actually are the provider to 16 of the top international and national law firms in Australia. So, for example, last year's president, the wonderful and beautiful Katie Lush, who we just adore, she is currently doing practical legal training at the College of Law, and she works with Shine Lawyers, and we're actually embedded into their graduate program as well as the graduate programs of many other law firms. Do you know that I worked out that every single USQ Law Student Society president since I've been at the College of Law for the last 5 years has come to the College of Law? So I was telling Tracy that this afternoon. I was a bit excited about that. Okay, that's my contact details. I would love my phone to be pinging off the hook this evening, or whenever you happen to be watching this, to connect with me on LinkedIn. Lisa would love you to connect with her on LinkedIn as well. You can email me if you think of a question later on, jowen@collaw.edu.au, and then we can set up a time to chat. I also always recommend following the College of Law on LinkedIn and Facebook. All our social media is really good, and it's not about, hey everyone, here's when the next PLT course is, and we do put that information up, but we have heaps of information to help your employability skills, to give you information about the profession, to tell you what's going in the legal profession, much like the Law Student Society Facebook. Theirs is a really good one, but heaps of articles like that. So I'm actually going to stop sharing. I'll go back to the chat and see if there's anything that needs answering there, or whether we're all up to date. Excellent. Kerry just had to go. So sorry, we've gone a little bit over time. We get really excited and just want to tell you everything. I do invite you all to put a question in the chat, or just flick your microphone on and talk away if there's anything that you might want to know more about. And obviously, if you don't, sometimes I process information and then the next day I'm like, oh, I should have asked that. So I do invite you to touch base with me afterwards if you are the same, you process and think about it tomorrow. Oh, Dimitri, hit us.
Hey, sorry. Yeah, I've written a couple down.
Awesome.
So with the actual grading do you get graded on the subjects, or is it just sort of like you've completed this sort of thing? Like in uni, you get graded, from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lisa, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, what we do is we get you to do the activities, and then as the mentor will go whether you're competent or not competent.
Yep.
And there is a grading scale there, but usually most of us just go, you've done it, you're fine.
Yep.
So it's rare for us to give you a grading for that, because it doesn't really count. What would count is that you've completed the activity, and then when you get to the oral assessment, that's where you get the HD, the D. So it's whether you get to that sort of standard. It does get broken down in the oral assessment to the components that we're asking you as an oral assessor. So one key tip I always say to students is reflection. You've got 10% with your grade for reflection in every oral assessment. So have a think about what you did well, what you struggled with, what you thought was really exciting about the subject, whether you'd even practice in that area again. So that's your 10 marks straight away, just in answering those questions. You'll always ask ethics questions at every oral assessment. So keep those delightful solicitors' conduct rules on hand, because they will also be asked at every oral assessment. The first one is all about that. So ethics is all about that, but later on it's a 10% component going forward. So it is graded at the oral assessment, but the mentor will also review the grade and sense whether or not there was, that little gap or something, and maybe you could go up, or, is it a pass and it's not showing as a pass. And then they will give their recommendations to the associate director, who would then review finally and then get released. So usually you get your grade about 3 days up to a week after the oral assessment, so you know how you're tracking. And whether you have to repeat it, because if you do fail, you have a chance obviously to do it again, but you can just get a pass grade in the second time round.
Yep. So just redo the assessment, not because we have sort of catch-up days, not the whole subject. I used to work for CPA Australia, and if you fail a subject there, you're doing the whole subject again, and you're repaying for the whole subject of $1,000 a pop. So we're not like that. We just say, hey, have another go, and we'll give you feedback as well. And the other thing is, you do get a rubric, don't you, Lisa? So you get the rubric, which will tell you sort of, what they're looking for. Yeah. So there's heaps of information, and if you just sort of
what they call feed forward.
Forward, yes. I was about to mention a feed forward.
Tips, just as a short thing, of what to expect from that activity and what you should have got out of it for the oral assessment. So that way, if you get stuck and you think, what are they going to ask me in knowledge? What is knowledge? Then you can talk to the mentor and say, hey, can you give me some more guidance of what to prepare for this?
Yeah, absolutely. And your lecturers are always there to to give you that sort of information. And most of them do a really good feed forward. So every subject, okay, this is what we're going to cover. This is what we're looking to see. So great. All right, that's question 1. What else have you got for us?
So I was thinking of maybe starting in November, but at the end of the year is busy time with Christmas, all that sort of thing. What is there, like a break over Christmas, or how does that work?
Yeah, there is a bit of a break, isn't there? There's a little bit of time in the middle of the timetable, isn't there, Lisa? For November
I think
1?
you'll find that there's only like a week.
Okay.
So you will be expected to still do the activities, with around that week. The College of Law actually technically shuts down as well for a period, but you're still expected to do the work and then be ready for the oral assessment as timetabled. But if it does get hectic, which it will at that time of year, then you can just opt to not do the oral assessment on the timetable date and do it in a catch-up date. But that's not ideal, because sometimes you're then sitting 2 within a very short period of time. So it's better to try and keep on track.
I think the first question you might want to ask yourself is, do I want to do that week 1 face-to-face, or do I want to do it online? If you're like, I actually think I want to do it online, then you've got a January option. If you wanted to leave it till after Christmas, that'd still get you admitted in 2022. It just might be the November sitting, not the October sitting. If you wanted to do it face-to-face, then you would enroll into the November face-to-face workshops in, you said you were in Brisbane, didn't you?
Yeah,
okay. There is a Brisbane one face-to-face, actually. I think it's the first week of December. And then cross your fingers and hope that there's enough students for that to go ahead, and that there's no lockdown and all that sort of stuff. I talked to a girl today, and what you actually can do is say you're like, you know what, I'm super keen for that one in Brisbane, and say it goes ahead. You could do that one, but then actually you're starting the course in January, but you've just done the on-site pause, and then you're actually starting week 2 in January. So I spoke to a girl this afternoon, and that's what she's doing, because she's starting the week that her on-site should be. She's actually starting a judge's associate position, so she'll just do that week a bit earlier, but then fall into line with the rest of her course. So yeah, it's just a matter of having a think. Some people are desperate crazy to be admitted the first moment they can be, so they're like, nah, I'm doing it over Christmas. It's Christmas, it's summer, there's beaches, there's fun things to do, whether or not you've got a family or people you might like to spend time with. So I would just look into your life and see what you might have planned. And if you were thinking you'd do it online and it was much of muchness whether you did November or January, it's really only a difference of about 6 weeks. So have a think.
Perfect. One more question. So the role I currently work in, like, I do a little bit with corporate legal, a little bit with HR, but both of my leaders do have practicing certificates.
Oh, great.
So how would that work? Say if you're working in a role where a little bit of 2 things, would that still count for your 60 days, or?
Yeah. So what you would do is, it has to be the same person. So just say if I was one of your leaders and Lisa's one of your leaders, if I'm signing the first form, I'm signing the second form, I'm signing all the forms, or Lisa is. So you have to pick one of them. And it might be that they get together as a team and go, talk about the work that you've been doing, and then decide who's signing off, and the one person signs off, but they're both happy to sign you off. Or you might get 2 sets of forms signed, although that's a bit problematic, because then you've got 120 days sort of thing. So it probably does just need to be, or you might go 30 days with this person and then 30 days with that person and have it covered. That's probably what you do. Or half of 75.
Another important thing too, Dimitri, is it has to be legal work.
Yes.
So just make sure that what they're giving you, that you do in that day, is actually legal work. So
exactly. So have a look at the rules. So if you go to collaw.edu.au/downloads with an S on the end, that is where all the forms are, and the rules are there as well. And so basically we're looking to see that you've had you've done legal research, you have drafted documents, you've had exposure to clients, which might be in-house. They don't have to be outside, like clients coming in. If you're working in-house, they're your colleagues. And you've also used a file management system. So it might be even worth, on that page, there's a booklet for students and a booklet for supervisors, maybe sending them links to those, or downloading them, sending them PDFs or whatever, and reading through it yourself, and even like calling a meeting with them between now and the end of the year and go, super excited for PLT. I'm starting in November, January, whenever you decide to start. The requirement is 75 days of work experience. I think I meet the rules. What do you think? Who would be happy to sign off? It has to be the one person all the way through the forms, or do we do 30 days and 30 days? Do you think I meet the rules? And they might go, look, I think you might need to do a bit more. I'd be happy to sign that if you've done a little bit more of legal research. Let's put you on that. Let's give you some stuff. You know, so they might go, do you know what, that project over there needs help with that. Let's scoot you over and you can do a bit of that. So it's good to have the conversation, and this is a great conversation for anyone else online when you do get to that start. I've had students just shove forms under you know, bosses' noses at the end of the 75 days and expect them to be signed. I think it's good etiquette to have that conversation at the beginning, either beginning of your placement or in the lead up to you enroll it, because obviously you've been in that job for a while, before you start PLT, to say, this is what's required. Would you be happy to sign a, you know, I'd love you to be my supervisor. I'd be honored for you to be my supervisor. Blow a bit of smoke, you know. And but because I've had students where they've gone, oh no, I didn't know, I wasn't watching you carefully enough. I would have had little meetings with you along the way. No, I won't do it. And then we've literally had to get on the phone and talk them off the ledge and go, okay, so did she do this? Did she do that? Did she do this? Yes. Well, you know, and talk them into signing it, because it was all, she had done everything. It's just that they were just being a bit difficult. She also had just resigned, so I don't actually think it was about the work experience. I think in that case, it was more about her leaving and then being upset about that. But anyway, it's good manners to have that conversation at the beginning rather than the end.
Thank you so much. That's
cool. Awesome. Well, keep my email or link with me on LinkedIn. And if you've got any questions or you want to talk through your specific circumstances, please do get in touch. I'm more than happy to go through that with you.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, Emily, sorry if your internet was playing up, but I'll send you the recording of this. And if you've got any questions or need to get in touch, please do sing out. And Rasha was saying early on at the moment, but looking forward to PLT down the track. And I do really like it when students come early in their degrees, because it does put it in their head. Excellent, Emily. Let's chat. Awesome. Well, I think it's either dinner time or trashy TV time or assignment time, or all of some mixture of the above. So I'll let everyone go. Sorry, we've gone a little bit over, and thanks for being with us. And if you've got any questions, please get in touch. Excellent.
Thank you, everyone.
Night, everyone. Talk soon. Bye.